This is a GWC Severe Weather Bulletin.
Good afternoon, this is Greg Machos, and this is the Severe Weather Report for August 17th, 2012. And we're looking at current conditions outside of Greg's Weather Center here in South Plainfield. And as you can see, skies are a little bit darker than they were earlier today. They're definitely a lot hazier than they have been over the past several days. I do see some cirrocumulus and mid-level cumulus clouds developing. Some of those mid-level cumulus clouds are getting in the direct path of the sunlight, and that might keep the heating down, which may be a good omen for the severe weather outlook today. The National Weather Service office in Mount Holly did indicate in their area forecast discussion earlier today that there was going to be some mid-level cloudiness developing, and that would possibly keep some of the heating down and thus keep the severe weather from becoming too significant across the area. As you can see, we have a little bit of a breeze outside. Winds are light, coming out of the west mostly, and we'll give you another view of what's going on outside the Weather Center here from our second webcam. And as you can see, again, the skies are a bit on the hazy side, a little bit darker than they were even earlier today, and that is an indication that a change is coming. Now, look at the radar imagery, and you can see this is a radar courtesy of the Rutgers Weather Center in New Brunswick. We have a line of storms extending from upstate New York through central Pennsylvania into western Maryland and West Virginia, also going as far back as southeastern Ohio. And this line has had a pretty good history of severe weather. Yesterday there was about 186 severe weather reports in the Midwest in states such as Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, even parts of Ohio. Had 2-inch diameter hail in some parts of Illinois. There were many reports of high winds, and this storm system is pushing east, and it is a significant cold front pushing into an area of warm and humid air, but the humidity is not as high as it was several days ago, but it is still very uncomfortable outside. If we were to look at the latest statistics from the GWC weather station outside, the temperature is peaking right now at 88 degrees. The dew point is at 71, so it's still in the low 70s. Like I said, we do have a little bit of a wind of 3 to 5 miles per hour, depending upon the time of day. The heat index is up to 94, and we have no measurable rainfall yet. Speaking of the rainfall, I discussed this earlier in the blog. We have had a pretty big month of August. It has been the rainiest month to date, and we're just midway through. We have here, according to the Vantage Pro 2 rain gauge outside, we have 3.91 inches of rain, but if you go to the CocoRa's rain gauge that I have also in the backyard, that rain gauge is reporting 4.12 inches since August 1st. And if we go back a little bit further to around the middle of July, give me a moment here, you will see that we have had quite a bit of rain, 6.92 inches of rain from July 16th till today. So that's a little bit more than a month. And during that period, we've had about 18 days of measurable rainfall. As you can see, a lot of rain has come within this last month, and that's not that's pretty interesting considering that prior to the 16th, we were looking at only about 0.05 of an inch of rain over a period of 33 days from the middle of June to the middle of July. And we go back here, despite the lack of rain from mid-June to mid-July, and despite the lack of rain in all of March and much of April, we still have 19.5 inches of rain for the year to date. And we could cross the 20-inch plateau today with a significant thunderstorm. Now, if we look at the satellite, courtesy again of the Rutgers Weather Center in New Brunswick, we see the leading edge of clouds starting to move into western Jersey. Some of the mid-level cloudiness has developed over Middlesex County, and we have the more significant cloudiness still off to the west in central Pennsylvania. Now we look at the composite radar loop courtesy of Weather Underground. We can see nothing has developed yet over the Garden State as well as much of the New York metropolitan area, but that is supposed to change over the next 6 to 12 hours. We look here at the radar loop courtesy of Weather Underground out of State College. We can see the line of storms moving through there. They just moved through Pittsburgh and eastern Ohio earlier, parts of western New York, the eastern Great Lakes, Erie, Pennsylvania, seeing a good sharp line of storms moving across the I-390 corridor, as well as Interstate 86 in western New York, I-80 in Pennsylvania also receiving some rainfall, and that will be approaching I-81 and Interstate 78 and those areas in eastern Pennsylvania within a few hours. Now, what's causing all this is simply this. I mean, let's look at this dew point map, and we mentioned it earlier. It's much more humid today than it has been over the past day or two. We had a very nice day yesterday. Temperatures were only about 85 for a high, and more significantly, the dew point was down to below 60 at one point during the day. The heat index was only 87 on Thursday. Today it is more significant. Just like I mentioned, it's up into the low to mid 90s, and the temperature is in the upper 80s, and it should reach 90 or the lower 90s later on today. But as you can see to the west, we have dew points that are 45, 50, 55. 60s are still in extreme western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio. But if you move further to the east, we get into the 65 to 70 degree dew point range. The 70s are much further to the south, though, in the Carolinas and northern Georgia. Looking at the latest forecast from the National Weather Service, and give me a second here to pull that up, we have a hazardous weather outlook issued, and that's pretty much been hinted at since yesterday. And as you can see, we have a temperature now up to 90 degrees in South Plainfield. And we're looking at a slight chance of thunderstorms this afternoon with a 60% chance of thunderstorms tonight. So thunderstorms are likely. You know, the high is supposed to be around 90 today. Southwest wind around 11 miles an hour. And we have, again, the showers and storms are supposed to be moving in tonight. The forecast here indicates mainly between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So we'll have to see if that holds up. The rainfall amounts are expected to be between 1/4 and 1/2 inch. Well, if we look at the hazardous weather outlook, strong storms are possible through this evening, and that is going to clear things out. We're supposed to have, we go back, temperatures only in the upper 70s to low 80s for the rest of the 5-day forecast period. Highs on Tuesday are supposed to be the warmest of the period at about 82. So we're in for a nice weather regime going into the weekend after early Saturday morning, and then that should last us well into next week. We do have some thunderstorm potential here, but really the real severe weather is kept to the south. There's a slight chance there, so the Storm Prediction Center not really indicating any possibility of severe weather here, but they do comment that there is a good likelihood of some thunderstorm activity in the mid-Atlantic to northeast. So that's it for now. We'll be back probably later today with another bulletin. Until then, this is Greg Macho signing off for the GWC Severe Weather Report for Friday afternoon, August 17th, 2012.
This has been a GWC Severe Weather Bulletin.